Dear listeners, welcome back to yet another episode of Chronicles of Love, brought to you by Sai Ashraya. In this very special episode, we will relive how the dream that every volunteer in Sai Ashraya dreamt, a dream of having our own hospital, our own temple of healing, is coming alive in front of our own eyes. Like our inspiration and role model, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam sir says, dreams are not those that you see in your sleep. Dreams are those that don't let you sleep. And dear listeners, this dream is one special dream that didn't let any of Sai Ashraya's volunteers sleep. Last 2 years, as we carried on with all the service projects taking place across the country, each time we would come across a child or an elder who needed surgery, our hearts would again go back to that dream. Some of us would wake up in the middle of the night having dreams about this temple of healing. While some of our dreams would end as we entered this temple of healing, some others saw the happiness in a child's eyes. And so, dear listeners, all of us started putting efforts towards getting to that first step, which was obtaining that piece of land on which this temple of healing would stand. The journey to obtain this land wasn't an easy one. But today when we look back, we all feel so grateful because it taught us the most precious life lessons. We had to have purity, patience and perseverance, duty, devotion and discipline. And that is what ensured that we obtained this piece of land one day finally. Dear listeners, as advised by our mentors who have dedicated their lives to serving the country, the first and the very best option was to obtain this land from the government itself. As you all are aware, it isn't that easy to obtain land from the government. There are various levels of hierarchy to go past. There are a lot of regulations to comply with, and of course a lot of paperwork that will need approval. We always knew that it wasn't easy, but we also always knew that it would happen one day, and it was just a matter of time. And each time we needed guidance, we had our mentors' shoulders to lean upon. Dear listeners, finally, after 2 years of persistent efforts, one government agency, the Karnataka Industrial Areas Development Board, granted us a 5-acre land at a subsidy. And that, dear listeners, is going to be the land on which all of our temple of healing will stand. When we first visited this piece of land, which is located in Kolar district of Karnataka, what first caught our attention when we interacted with the local people there was that there are more than 30 villages around this place. And as we interacted more with them, we found that when many of them had problems related to their heart, they would actually have to travel all the way to Bangalore. And some of them came forward and said, "Sir, it costs us 2 to 3 lakhs to get one heart operation done." And many of these people have actually sold their property to get their surgeries done. Dear listeners, Sai Ashraya's volunteers then went and made a presentation to the government. We said, we would love to take this opportunity to adopt all these 30 villages and more, adopt all these schools and get them into the Breakfast Seva program, empower and skill the youth, and do our very best to improve the quality of life in all these villages by working around the 4 pillars of food and nutrition, Medicare, Educare and Sociocare. The government was mighty impressed. And what touched the hearts of all these officials more than the fact that this hospital would not have a cash or a billing counter was that this whole Seva, this temple of healing, would be built on the foundations of pure love and selfless service. They saw this as a landmark project And that, dear listeners, moved their hearts, and that is how we got this beautiful piece of land on which our Temple of Healing will one day stand. Dear listeners, we are very happy to share that Sai Ashraya's volunteers immediately got to work, and today we are at the cusp of seeing this beautiful Temple of Healing, which will specialize in pediatric and adult cardiac care and mother and child care come alive. Even as we speak, work is on in full swing. The floor plans also have been finalized, and now let us take a few moments to see the first 3D perspective images of our beautiful Temple of Healing. Let us store these images in our hearts, for one day when they come alive, we will all be shedding tears of love and joy. Dear listeners, as we come to the conclusion of this very special episode of Chronicles of Love, let us now watch two short video clippings. One of the work in progress, and two highlights of the salient features of this magnificent Temple of Healing. Dear listeners, this is a dream that all of us share, and let us all put our very best efforts towards realizing it. When our efforts meet God's grace, miracles happen. Thank you so much for tuning in, dear listeners. Namaskar. Jai Hind.